Well, welcome, Grizz, to Rock Talk. We have a little bit of a different episode this week. We have a client on. First time, first client ever.
Wow.
On any of our talks.
I'm honored. Thank you for having me.
Oh, couldn't pick a better person, a better client to be on. So love it. Looking forward to the conversation today. We're going to have a little bit different conversation. Usually it's Rob and I sitting here talking about, the market, the economy and everything. And we thought we'd change it up a little bit. You recently retired.
I did.
Just a couple months back.
Yes, I did.
And it's something that we kind of pushed you towards a little bit there for a while to take that leap. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about just your background and family and what you do career-wise.
Oh, wow. That goes back a long way. I started at Safeway when I was 16 and worked there off and on for 22 years. In the meantime, I went in the Navy. I was on a submarine for 4 years.
What was that like?
That was phenomenal. My whole intent of going into the Navy was to go on a submarine and live in Hawaii. And that all happened within 3 months of being in the Navy.
What was your longest time period where you were down underwater without sunlight?
87 days.
87, and you didn't go crazy? You didn't start pulling your hair out?
Nope. We left Hawaii and pulled up into Perth, Australia, and I was the guy that opened the hatch,
Really?
The first one, and the air smelled so bad. And I realized that was coming from inside the submarine. It wasn't the fresh air coming in.
It wasn't Perth. Okay, I have a couple friends from Perth. I was going to call them and after this. So.
Yeah, no, it was the air leaving the submarine.
Okay, yeah.
We were gone for 7 months on that deployment, but 87 days was the longest underwater.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's a crazy life.
Yeah, I'm sure that is. Yeah, that would be amazing to go on a submarine and be under. Yeah.
Most people can't handle it.
No.
Yeah, over the years, I would evaluate people that I worked with that, you would have never made it.
No. What'd you do on the submarine?
I was a radio man.
Okay.
So I was privy to all the top secret stuff that was going on at all times where most people weren't.
Yeah.
I even knew stuff the captain didn't know.
There you go.
So
yeah.
It was pretty crazy.
So
that led into coming back to Safeway. And then at some point I left and went to Hawaii and worked at Safeway in Hawaii. And I was on a tourist submarine.
Okay.
Which is a lot easier to do with lots of windows and happy people.
Right.
And I met my wife there and we married and moved back here. And worked at DirecTV for about 9 years when it very first started up, which was pretty amazing. And then I went to work for Boeing after that. And then I left Boeing after 9 years and went across the room and went to Raytheon for 12 years doing the same thing I did at Boeing.
There you go.
So that's my career.
Yeah.
Little things along the way. I did put tires on cars at Costco. Had another part-time job stocking potato chips on my days off. So always been busy.
Yeah.
So kind of prided myself in my work ethic.
I was getting ready to say, you've always had a great work ethic, and your wife, Mary, she worked at Raytheon also.
She had 37 and a half years.
37 and a half years.
All the way back when it was Hughes Aircraft.
That's right. That's right.
It was, she had quite the career.
Yeah. Yeah, she was there for a long time, and I know the two of you have been missed at Raytheon and from everyone that we talk with out there. Yeah. So tell us this. Let's start at the beginning when we were having conversations about you heading into retirement, right? How did you feel, as you started planning for that, heading into it? I know you and Mary had a lot of conversations. We had a lot of conversations, right, to finally get you to, to pull that cord and feel comfortable with it. But what were some of the emotions and what were some of the things going through your head?
A lot of fear, a lot of skepticism about the idea, a lot of indecision. Probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. Everything comes to mind. You're used to a steady paycheck and you wonder, well, you knew my finances. You said I was fine. But you telling me I'm fine doesn't mean, where's that check going to come from?
Right.
'Cause I'm used to getting a check every 2 weeks, and so it was traumatizing.
Right.
I wouldn't say it was a smooth operation to do it.
Yeah. I know you and Mary, you have your routine, right? Everyone does.
We do.
And it completely changed. And so, as you approach that retirement date, I know we talked about one of the things I always encourage everyone to do is make sure you have hobbies, make sure you have a plan, make sure you have maybe vacations set up and different things, as you head in. What were some things that you had on the calendar or things that you wanted to do on a weekly basis just to give yourself a routine, give yourself a schedule? What did that look like as you were heading towards that retirement date?
I was going on what people said. They said you have to fill 40 hours of time in your week because that's where, even though it was more usually, you got to fill 40 hours of time that you would have been at work. Now, What do you do?
Yeah.
So the first thing I did when I actually knew it was going to happen is I signed up with the National Archives to translate documents from cursive into type because apparently people can't read cursive anymore. So I've signed up for that and I've attempted it. I'm not getting very far with it because there are rules and it's not smooth. So I still intend to do that.
Yep.
I knew I was going to play pickleball. I played 8 hours last week.
There you go. Yep.
I work in the yard. I love working in my yard. I have a corner lot. Mary and I had talked about different vacations. And we haven't really done anything until just recently. We went to an all-inclusive in Mexico, and just the week before that, we went to Mount Rushmore and Devil's Tower and Deadwood. So that filled several days, and then going to Mexico worked. And now we're planning on a big trip next year, somewhere in Italy or most of Italy.
Yeah. Mary's planning that trip.
That's Mary. I just say, okay, let me know.
Yep.
But I'm busy all the time. I've been seeing friends for lunch from work, and we go to dinner with a friend most Thursdays. I've come to hear you speak a couple of times, which I really enjoy. I always learn something new. But I've somehow or another, the whole intent was I got to be busy all the time.
Right.
And I did that for probably 3 weeks.
Okay.
And then I realized I don't have to be busy all the time. I can do whatever I want. Every day is Saturday.
Every day is Saturday, right?
So it's I think the burden of thinking about retiring has all gone away. I'm very relaxed. It was a good decision. I'm happy I did it. And I might have done it sooner if I thought about it.
Yeah,
I had to go back.
And we talked about it for a couple years there.
Probably 3 years.
Yeah, you all are in a great situation. And one of the things, let's talk about this a little bit. Right when you retire, that's when all the tariff talk is going on, right?
The stock market's dropping.
The stock market's dropping, right? And you're thinking, tell me, we didn't talk, I didn't get any phone calls from you and Mary. But what were some of the things maybe going through your head? Did you have any emotions with any of that? Thinking, boy, timing wise, I maybe couldn't have timed this any worse to start taking a paycheck, with the market dropping.
It was kind of blind faith that you had us under control. It's like, it was scary. It's like, oh my God, how much can we lose? And you lose money in an up and down stock market like that. But most of it came back, if not all of it. I don't know, but I feel pretty good. It was, and Mary would say, "Oh my God, was this the right time?" When's the right time?
That's right. There's no perfect time.
It's like everybody says, "I'm planning to have a kid." How do you plan to have a kid?
Maybe somebody can pull that off, but
it happens when it happens. But so no, it was a little bit of an emotional roller coaster, but
sure.
It all worked out, and
we're all good.
We're gonna have more of it. I'm sure of it.
That's right. It will. It will. The market's going to bounce at some point. So heading into retirement, what were you most excited about heading in? Was it
not getting up at 2:00 in the morning to go to work?
Yeah, I know a lot of you Raytheon folks are. Yeah, you get up super early.
I did it because my job entailed doing a whole lot of stuff before people got there, and they were in my way.
Got it.
And so I would go to bed at 8 or 8:30 at night, try to be asleep by 9:30, and still get up at 2:15 in the morning.
Wow.
And I did that for years, since 2016 at least. So it was like, Mary, I need to go to bed. And my wife just never wants to go to bed. She came to bed about 1:45 last night or this morning. Yeah. And so sleeping in, sleeping into me is about 7, but
Yep.
usually go to bed at 12 or 1
Yeah.
because I want to stay up and be with my wife.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing. I think my health has improved just because I'm getting 6.
Hey, that pickleball is
7
keeping you in
hours sleep.
shape too, right? Yeah.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
Even though I have a sore knee on a knee that's been replaced, that's sore, and the other one's fine.
Yeah.
But that was the biggest thing.
Got it.
And it's still a little, I miss the camaraderie. I miss the folks because I had a really core group of people that I was around every day. But it's okay. I'd rather be around my wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
great.
my son, of course.
Anderson,
Of course, he's so busy, I hardly ever see him.
Right. Yeah. He's all over the place. So take us back to that last day of work. So the last day, what were some things that were going through your mind? Was it a little bittersweet? Was it a celebration? What was that last day like?
Am I really going to do this? Should I really do this, or should I just keep extending?
Yeah.
Because I'd even talked, even that last couple weeks, about just going like 3 days a week, and my boss was all for it. Mm-hmm. So I went in the last day not knowing what to expect. Had a pretty big party with 50 or 60 people showing up, and some gifts and lots of speeches, and I was pretty emotional, and I asked them not to do that, and of course they ignored me.
Right.
And it was one of the days that I didn't watch the clock. Because normally you go in, you're in there at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're watching the clock, waiting for 1 o'clock, 1:30 to roll around, and I never watched that clock. And I walked around and talked to people, and a lot of hugs, a lot of handshakes, and then, I'd already cleared out my office and my desk and everything else. And being that I worked in a secure environment, I had to exchange badges, so I couldn't get back on the base and couldn't get back in the secure building I was in.
Yep.
And everything went so smoothly that by the time I probably left at noon, by the time that came around, it was like, oh, I guess it's done.
Done. Yeah.
I mean, there's no going back now.
No.
So I came home and my wife hugged me, and I kind of freaked out a little bit.
Yeah.
And went on from there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But again, no regrets. It's done, and
Yeah.
I've worked since I was 15 years old, actually 13. But a paying job, paying taxes since I was 15. So,
Right.
And I'm 65 now, as of 3 months ago. So,
Yeah.
it's a different world.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No. I appreciate you sharing all that, and I know, in all the talks that we had, with you and Mary, change is not always. It can be difficult, right? Just emotionally, you get used to those routines and what you do every day, and then all of a sudden your life really does change. There are a lot of changes emotionally, and there's the faith in the plan and so forth, and making sure that that's going to work. And plus, at the time, the unsteadiness in the economy, a lot going on. So, you took that leap of faith. Is there anything that, I think you hit on this a little bit, but anything in particular that you miss about working with the structure that you had, the people, the sense of purpose, anything in there? All of that probably knowing you, but
yes, all of that. I still miss it.
yeah,
But I don't miss it so much that I want to go back to it.
sure,
It was comforting. I really didn't have a boss. I knew what I had to do, and I did it every day.
yep,
Up until 2 years ago, I had an office mate that he and I worked so well together. And then a couple of years ago, I got an office mate that didn't really do much. And so I was kind of left on my own devices, and I knew what had to be done, and people would rely on me and come to me, and they would get it done. And it was comfortable, and I built up a system. And then I had, like I said, I had a core group that sometimes I do things with at work. And we met after work just a couple times at a Lazy Dog brewery. I guess, that's what it was. But just not doing that every day I've learned to deal with it, and I'm fine with it. Again, I spend all my time with my wife, and even before this, my wife's sister would say, "What do you do with your husband's going to be around all the time? I can't stand it. My husband's retired."
Yeah.
And my wife says, I love being around my husband.
Right.
And, I think I give her a break. I go play pickleball, so she gets a break. But she retired like 5 years ago. So she was around me all the time.
Right.
When I wasn't at work. But it just works itself out.
Yeah.
And quite pleased. And I can't wait to get home and see her every day. And she's the same way. And I think, I don't know if your love can get stronger after 34 years, but it seems like it has.
You two are inseparable, and you're always smiling. You're always in, at least when I see you, and you're always happy. And, and I think the thing that I have learned over the years and always encourage people to do as they head into retirement is find hobbies, find interests, find things that do make you smile, that make you happy, things that you want to go do. And, whether that's spending more time with friends or family or, your spouse, whatever it is, or kids, grandkids, just make sure you have that on your agenda and fill that calendar doing exactly what you want to do every day.
That's what I do right now.
Yeah, that's what's important. So now she's planning a trip to Italy next year. And you're starting up north. It sounds like from what maybe we've got to have Mary on now to talk about
places where she wants to be.
Right. So. Yeah. So you're going to start in northern Italy. You're going to work your way south all the way down, and so I think those big trips at least once a year, and then some smaller ones throughout the year. I mean, that's what I see our clients doing often is. Doing that. You took a pretty good one to Cabo here and enjoyed the beach or the getaway down there to Cabo. So yeah, it's a great start.
That was amazing. We enjoyed it. We'd never done that before.
Yeah.
Mostly because of our security clearances at our job that you're just not supposed to
going
mix
to
that
Mexico.
up.
Yeah. I have a lot of clients that can't go to Mexico.
Yeah, we weren't supposed to go to Mexico.
Yeah. Now you can go.
Now I can do anything.
Yep. What advice would you give someone who's a few years from retirement that's maybe feeling unsure about that next step, and taking that leap? Any thoughts on that end?
I would do just as you talked about. Get some hobbies. Plan some things that you're going to do. Make sure you talk it over with your family, your wife. Just head down that path. I would even suggest maybe going part-time just to see what it's like.
Sure.
Because it's
or use some of that vacation time, right? That a lot of people build up and take a few weeks off, right?
And that's a great idea. You know the direction you're going, but to get there, you got to be prepared.
Yeah.
And I wasn't unprepared, but I didn't know all the variables.
Yeah.
And they show up right away.
Right.
And when Monday morning comes and you don't have to go to work, it's like, oh, I don't even have to set my alarm clock anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a process.
Yeah.
Definitely speak to your financial advisor because, you're the biggest step to getting me there. Mm-hmm. And helping along the way. And as you had said, kind of giving me a push in that direction because, it was time.
Sure.
I'm not going to work my whole life.
Right.
So I already did.
Yeah.
So why not enjoy the rest of it?
Yeah. So, go spend that time with Mary and really do the things that the two of you want to go do. Yeah.
That's where we're at now.
That's awesome. I love it. Hey, I really want to thank you for coming on. Now we're going to have Mary on, and at least next year, you're going to have to tell us about Italy, where you went, and I want to start adding that into our podcast where we have, some clients come on and talk about just some of the wonderful trips that everyone takes and where you go and things you maybe regret you shouldn't have done, and that way we, help everyone avoid some of those little potholes out there when they're out traveling. So, Grizz, Hey, congratulations. And
thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So thanks for coming on. And another episode of Rock Talk. Like and subscribe down below. And we'll be back again next month and talk further. So thanks, Grizz.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.